What begins as an attempted robbery by 4 inexperienced robbers turns deadly within seconds, with every moment captured on camera.
On the other side of the street from the parking lot without those cameras picking up, they got cameras everywhere because they got millions of motorcycles up there.
But while one suspect tried to act cool, it wasn't the same for the others. The others cracked. In the heat of the interrogation, they threw out lies, manipulation, and every trick in the book. But by then, the evidence had already stacked up against them.
You're on video, getting out of the Dodge Journey, getting into the Dodge Journey. You want me to go get the pictures to prove it to you? So I know you're done.
What started as a sudden act of violence would soon unfold into one of Florida's most shocking investigations, revealing the chilling truth behind the brutality.
Several gunshots, possibly a drive-by. No description on the subject. Someone in a black BMW 3X. A witness advised a black Dodge Journey is the subject's vehicle. Shot somebody in a black BMW. It's working off District 10 309 house.
On June 18, 2018, 4 men were driving through Deerfield Beach, Florida, looking for an opportunity to make quick money. They weren't targeting anyone specific. They prowled busy areas watching, waiting, hoping for an easy score. That afternoon, they passed through the area near Reaver Motorsports. Their attention was drawn to a black BMW pulling into the dealership's parking lot. To them, it looked like the kind of opportunity they had been waiting for. What followed was not the result of long-term planning, but of impulse and overconfidence. They believed they could act fast, take the money, and disappear. As the BMW attempted to leave the lot, the group moved in. The situation escalated within seconds. Multiple gunshots were fired in broad daylight, killing him instantly. Only afterward did reality sink in. The man they had just robbed and shot was XXXTentacion, one of the most recognizable young artists in the world. What they believed would be a quick, anonymous robbery had instead become a public execution captured on surveillance cameras. With the crime recorded on CCTV and the victim quickly identified, investigators moved fast. Surveillance footage, vehicle tracking, and witness accounts led police to 4 suspects. Dedrick Williams, 22, was identified as the driver of the Dodge Journey. Michael Boatwright, 22, was identified as the shooter. Trayvon Newsom, 20, was identified as the second gunman. Robert Allen, 22, acted as the lookout, who later cooperated. What follows is not one conversation, but several, unfolding simultaneously behind closed doors. Each suspect, separated, questioned alone, accounting for that afternoon in his own words.
3 in the afternoon and 4 in the afternoon. You remember where you were?
3 in the afternoon and 4 in the afternoon.
Right. Or say 2 in the afternoon. Where were you at in the afternoon, say after lunchtime on Monday? Tell me where you were your whole day.
Mostly I was at my house because I was babysitting my 2 stepdaughters.
Okay, so...
Yeah, I was waiting on my wife to get off work at 7:30.
Okay. So if noon, I don't know what time you eat lunch, but noon is like lunchtime. You didn't leave from the house from noon to 7 at night, or did you go anywhere in between there?
No, I went somewhere that night.
Okay, not night, but it gets dark about 7, 8 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
Let's talk about from noon, which is lunchtime, till it got dark. So 7 or 8 o'clock at night. Did you leave the house at all between those hours, during the daylight hours?
I mean, you're saying Monday, I can't really,
It's only 2 days ago.
Alright. Yeah.
See, did you get along good with your dad?
Nah.
He didn't give you that fatherly advice kind of stuff?
He wasn't really there. He tried to be there later on in life.
Okay, well, how old do you think your dad is?
He's probably
40s, or like me, I'm in my 50s.
He's probably 38.
Damn, he's young. All right, well, I'm gonna try to give you some fatherly advice here, and you can take it or not take it. What we're gonna talk about is serious, so little stuff that I ask you, don't get caught up with not telling the truth on little stuff. Because when we get to the part where we're talking about not little stuff but big stuff, the only way I can believe you is if you tell me the truth on the little stuff. So let's deal with the little stuff. Between noon and 7, did you go anywhere that you remember? Did you leave the house?
On Monday?
Yes, Monday. And again, I know you're scared to death, and I know your mind's racing.
I'm really trying to think.
I know, but again, you gotta understand in life, sometimes telling the truth is always the best.
Right. You said from 3 to 4 Monday?
Well, let's start from noon till the sun went down.
No, considered like 11 o'clock.
Yeah, I mean, again, noon to the sun goes down. Did you go anywhere?
I was babysitting on Monday.
All right, come on. I got that. You need to understand, like I said, a lot of these questions I know the answers to because we just, at least I just don't pick out people out of the world.
It's just like, I got a lot going on every day.
Okay, well.
Yeah, from Monday.
All right. Did you hear anything that was really crazy that happened this Monday?
Well, not Monday, but the crazy this week.
What would you hear about?
A shooting.
Okay. And where did the shooting happen?
Riva.
All right. Do you ever go up to Riva?
I go to Riva all the time. I ride bikes.
I know. You told me you wrecked your...
Knocked out my teeth.
Yeah, when was that? When did you do that?
About like a year ago.
Right.
Okay, so you're saying when I went to Riva?
Yeah, well, are you saying you went to Riva?
Because I don't remember what day it was.
Okay, so what day, when was the last time you were at Riva? Or when did you think, how many days ago were you at Riva?
Riva closed on Sunday, so that probably was Monday.
Alright, so Monday you go up to Riva.
In Dietrich Williams' interview, the focus stays on normal life. He talks about his family, his children, and his routine responsibilities, carefully shaping the image of someone grounded and stable. The answers come easily, almost rehearsed, as if calm alone might signal innocence. But detectives aren't listening for comfort, they're listening for consistency. And even at this early stage, small details begin to feel misplaced. The story sounds smooth, but it doesn't sound complete. What Dietrich doesn't know yet is that elsewhere in the room, other versions of this same afternoon are already starting to drift away from his.
When it was finna take effect.
When the robbery was about to happen? Did you know he had it when he got into the car at your house?
I don't even think they had nothing. I think it was at Chuck's house.
Well, if you think, why do you think that?
Because I probably would have seen it, but I didn't see it. I didn't see nothing.
But when they were at your house, before you left to go to Chucky's, did you see him with any guns?
Oh, they could have had it then, I don't know.
Well, the one gun we're going to talk about with Boatwright's pretty big, so you would have seen it.
Yeah.
All right. What kind of gun did Boatwright have?
It's like a small, real small one.
Okay, well, like that, like a rifle or a handgun?
Rifle.
Okay, I'm gonna bring in some pictures. Do you know, as far as the caliber, let's go back to Trey. Do you know the caliber of the gun he had? How about the caliber of the gun that Boatwright had? No? Do you know anything about guns in particular?
Not really.
All right, you said you thought all three of them. What kind of gun do you think Chucky had?
Probably a handgun too. I never actually seen him with a gun.
Okay.
But I just assumed.
Okay, but when you're at either, you didn't see Trey or Boatwright at your house with a gun, did you see any of the guns when you were at Chucky's house before you guys loaded up to go over to Riva?
Just one. I only seen Trey gun.
Okay, and why did you see that? Did he have it out? I mean, how did you see that?
I think he had it out.
Okay, keep on saying I think, man. Either you know or you don't know.
I'm almost sure. I think he had it out.
Okay, so you guys going into Riva, you're still driving, Chucky says there's XXX, he sees him walking, what happens from there?
I mean, we was already going there anyway, so we still go on about our business, and then Chuck said, I think that had to be him, because I think that's the same car that he has. And I was like, yeah, and then they tell me to go in. They said go in and see if that's him.
Okay, who's saying that?
I think Trey said that.
Okay, you go with the I think, you're not sure? I mean, if it is, it is. If you think it is, it is. But you keep, every time you say I think.
Trey talk.
Okay, all right, so Trey said you go in, and who goes in?
Me and Chucky go in.
Okay, and as soon as you go in, obviously we've seen on the video what happens. What do you do once you go in?
I call Boatwright.
Okay, and do you have Boatwright saved in your phone, or do you just know his number off the hat?
I know his number off the I had his number saved.
Yeah, because we never got your phone, if you remember. We'll talk about that in a little bit.
In the next room, Robert is being more careful. He's trying to sound helpful, like a man who just happened to be there. But detectives have already compared his story with Diedrich's, and the timelines do not match. When the gap is exposed, it doesn't just reveal a lie. It connects both of them to something far worse than they are willing to admit.
No? Have you ever been around Chucky recently?
No.
Okay. Like I said, if I brought pictures, it'd be easier to explain.
I'm saying though, like...
Okay, well, I'm asking you about things that your name's getting brought up into.
But I don't know nothing about that, so...
Okay, well, you already said you weren't at Riva, so I'm trying to figure out why Chucky would put your name into it.
I don't know.
When was the last... You saw him years ago. Did you have a beef with him? You paid for all your tattoos? I mean, did he just have a beef with you about something? Or he'd throw your name out just to throw me off and put your name into it? That's not a tough question, man. Do you have problems with Chucky? I guess that would be, you don't want to answer that question, so I won't answer that question. How about the what they call the pink apartments, the Driftwoods? You ever hang out over there?
No.
What?
No.
No? You know where the Driftwood is when I say that?
No.
31st and 19th Street. You know where that is?
No.
All right, I'm trying to figure out. Well, it's not far from Lauderdale Manors. You know where the FP&L plant is up there? I'll draw you a little map. This is the swap shop.
I'm saying no disrespect.
You know?
I have nothing to do with me. I just...
Okay. Well, again, I'm just asking you if you know where our apartment complex is. This is the swap shop. This is Sunrise Boulevard. This is 31st. You're going north. The Driftwood's up here on 19th Street. FP&E plants over here. Across 19th Street, on this side is the tire shop. This is the Driftwood Apartments. Do you know where that is? You ever been up in there?
No, I ain't never been in that. I think I rode by before though.
You rode by? It's got gates on it where there's a gate goes in.
Yeah, I rode by before.
They used to call them the pink apartments. Well, you're too young for that. But you never been in the Driftwood? Okay, Chucky's got a big fat friend named Fat Rob or Big Rob, or his mama lives right down here on 17th Court. When I say, again, if I had the pictures, you let me bring the pictures, and I ask you, do you know Big Fat Rob at all? No? Like I said, I wish you let me bring the pictures in so I make sure you know who these guys are who are bringing your name up. But you don't know Fat Rob, whose mama lives right over here? No, these guys are all, every name I mentioned other than Chucky, you don't know. All right, well, it's like I said, I'm just trying to solve the mystery. Now, that phone number you gave me, I guess the policeman, when they stopped you, had two phones on you. One's what, an iPhone, and one's a... Which number is the 600 number? The iPhone or the other one?
No, iPhone.
The iPhone? And what was the number again? I think I wrote it down wrong. 954? Huh?
Yeah.
And that's the... What color is the iPhone?
Black.
Black. And what's the other phone you got?
It's a Metro, but I don't know the number of that phone.
You don't have the Metro? And what... I didn't look at it. What is a Metro... Galaxy or Coolpad?
Across the hallway, Boatwright is talking about Riva Motorsports like it's just another day. He doesn't know the detectives already have the CCTV from that exact location. Every second he describes, they've already seen. He's not building an alibi, but walking straight into his own evidence. And in a few minutes, that footage will do all the talking he's trying to avoid.
Let's talk about some of those motorcycles in there. Expensive, ain't they? $20,000-$30,000?
No.
Well, what do you think those spiders in there, those cams and everything?
I ain't know those was considered motorcycles.
Well, whatever. I mean, there's a lot. What I'm trying to get at is there's a lot of there that's worth a lot of money, right?
Right. Yeah.
So when you got a lot of money, like you're going to open a business,
right.
What's the first thing you do when you own a business to protect your business and all that expensive property you have?
His security.
Yeah. What kind of security would you get?
Armed.
Okay. Above armed security, what else would you get?
Alarm system.
cameras all over the place. 40 of them. 40 of them. So as me and you sit here and talk, I kind of know everything that happened because I've seen it. So when I say to you, I don't mean you any harm, I don't really mean you any harm, but, and I don't want to sit here and say you're a liar because you're scared. And I understand that. But I can see everything that happened. They got cameras everywhere. You can't move on that property, inside or outside, without a camera. You can't come up Dixie Highway without one of those cameras picking you up. You can't go on that back road without those cameras picking you up. You can't sit in the parking lots on the other side of the street from the parking lot without those cameras picking you up. They got cameras everywhere because they got millions of motorcycles up there. So they're going to protect it. So what I want you to do is understand that. And I don't want you to get to the point where you protect people who got you involved in that you don't need to lie for them because they got to deal with their own problems. You know what I'm saying? And that's what happens as a young man. You get involved. I got young kids myself. My son's in his 30s, but he hung around with knuckleheads too. And nobody wants to snitch out a friend or whatever you want to call them. But there comes a time in life, you got how many kids? 4? The only thing you should be thinking.
2 real kids.
Yeah, but the only thing you should be thinking about is you and the people you love, not friends. Because here's what I tell people. I tell this to my own kids. Everybody who's not your blood, in other words, who's not truly your blood, you know what they are? A stranger. That's the truth. Because you got to worry about your blood, not people who you think are your blood, because everybody, says, hey, we're tight, I've known you since this, or I've known you since that. So don't protect these people by telling stories that are going to make it look like you're the bad guy in all this.
Back in Diedrich's room, the detectives bring up CCTV, and suddenly the normal day he described doesn't exist anymore. His story starts breaking in real time. What he doesn't know is that in another room, Boatwright is being shown the same footage. Their stories are colliding, and the detectives know the impact will be explosive, breaking one of them first.
And what did Boatwright say to him after that?
No, I ain't shoot you. Something like that. No, I ain't shoot you. Something.
Did you see Trey kind of falling back in the car?
He was just grabbing the bag and going. I ain't seen him falling nothing.
Okay. Tell me what happened with everything that was in the bag. You got the money.
I just kind of asked him. He said they took the Louis Vuitton bag with them, and all the money wrappers with them, and everything was in the bag. He says he doesn't know what happened.
Yeah, the fob, the ID.
The fob was.
That's the thing that starts the car nowadays. Like this thing. It's not like that, but it's like, you don't have to put the key in the ignition.
Yeah, they took that.
They took everything that was in the bag, and you have no idea where they went with it.
Okay, you just been involved in a homicide with 3 other guys. Okay, this is going to be a big event in your life, right? Who'd you tell? You had to have said something to someone.
My dad.
About this. And who else? I mean, you're not going to believe what happened. Who'd you tell?
For my dad.
Girlfriend? Anybody else?
Yeah, but I told my dad everything that happened. My girl, I told her a little bit, nothing too. That's why I ain't tell nobody. My mom I didn't even tell my mom.
We did a search warrant on your house, you knew that, right? Did Mom tell you we did a search warrant on your house?
No.
When you went up to Georgia? Your dad gonna cooperate? For you?
I haven't spoken to my dad since I've been in jail.
Not even about him getting stopped in your car or your truck?
Is that your stepdad or your dad? Who was
my dad?
That's your dad.
That's Robert the third. You're the 4th, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, Robert Allen the 3rd.
He told me my dad got pulled. I didn't know when you asked me what I said. I didn't know, right?
Yeah, he didn't know that his dad had gotten pulled.
No, but again, if your dad doesn't hang up on me this time, he's going to tell me the whole story you just told me.
Sure.
After you find out XXS is dead, tell me discussions you have with these guys. Anything at all?
We gonna go down for murder.
No, tell me what was said.
Not too much of nothing, really. Everybody was like in shock. Besides Chucky he was not really shocked. He didn't really care. But I didn't really want to talk to nobody after that. It was just, I just went along with the flow.
Well, they weren't in too much shock because Chucky was dancing with the money.
That's what I said. Chucky wasn't in shock. He didn't really care. Yes, it ain't done on him until y'all came and got him.
When the detectives put photos on the table, Robert doesn't speak. He's staring at something he can't explain, because it's not just him in the picture. Diedrich is there too, and so is the car. It's the first time all three stories meet, not in words, but in proof. This is the moment where lies start turning into evidence.
You know what happens when your phone gets in that parking lot at Riva Motorsport? Picks up the router. You know that? Okay. I'll be back. Take you down. All right, he's finishing your paperwork up. There's you and Trey walking over to Fat Boy's mom's house. So, anyways, he's finished your paperwork up. As soon as he's done, if you're ready, he'll take you. All right? You done looking at those? Yeah? You done looking at those?
What am I looking at?
There's you, and there's you. Huh?
Who that is?
That's you. You can't tell? That's not you? Oh, okay. You know who that is? Trey? You don't know a guy named Trey? Boy, you don't know nobody. Funny thing, I think that one thing is right there, that lighter hanging out of your pocket, is even what they got out of the car when they got you out of the car. Actually, all you should do is go to the search phone on your phone.
The same photos hit Boatwright's table next. Same car, same moment. The detectives don't even have to push. They already know who was in that car. What Boatwright doesn't know yet is that one of the others has already said enough to seal his fate. The evidence speaks louder than his words, and his denial starts to crumble.
Okay, again, I can look at the video, so I know what's believable. But for me to sit and tell you everything you did, and then you just sit and shake your head and say, yeah, it doesn't have the same weight as you telling me that, you know, this is what happened. Now, you know, I'm not going to lie to you and promise you deals, but I can tell you this, I'm going to stand up and tell the truth, just like I'm asking you to tell the truth. I'm going to tell the truth when they ask me about you. So if you're really truly remorseful, then you need to tell me what happened and show that remorse. Because it's better, you got to understand, it's always better to tell the truth in any situation than to lie. It is, you know. Yeah. So, you know, you got to deal with it. I mean, you're not the guy or the guys with the guns, and unfortunately, the guys with the guns aren't even very good at what they do, or it wouldn't have had to happen like that. So let's start off real slow. Let's go back to were you at your house?
Yeah.
Okay, so now who comes and picks you up?
What came and picked me up?
Okay, so
to be honest with you,
yeah.
I mean,
all right, well, look at.
I'm sorry for what I'm sorry. Well, not for what I did, but I'm sorry for what I got myself into. I'm sorry that happened to that person, being that who he was or whatever.
Okay, but
And I mean, I'm already on probation. I'm gonna get time for it, but I can't die in jail. I can't.
well, you're saying you're gonna die in jail? Is that what you just said?
I can't die
Okay.
for telling. I can't.
Hey, say it again. Are you saying dying, or what are you saying?
I can't die in jail for.
Well, no one's saying you can die in jail. What you're charged with is you're involved in an incident. There's all kinds of people involved in incidents, and sometimes.
But even if when I tell you the story, it's like that paperwork, it follows you when you're in prison. Like, people know that. And
Okay, so let me explain something to you. A lot of guys who are in prison understand you got to take care of your own too, and you worry about whatever they want to say, being a snitch, whatever you want to be. People got
death.
First off, no, it's not, because it depends on the situation. First off, I'm not trying to say anything crazy, like there's people who would say you're doing the right thing who love this guy. And believe me, there's a whole world out there who loves this guy. I never listened to his music, so I don't know. But if you ain't the gunman, I can see your eyes welling up, buddy. You need to understand this. You got a chance to tell the truth, and then you deal with the hopes that the truth is going to be better for you than a lie. But as far as the snitching stuff, I've been doing this 39 years. The prisons understand you got to take care of yourself too. Again, it's like you're not the gunman from the video. So, you can't worry about something like that, because this is stupidity. These aren't crazy gang members or anything like this. This is just guys that aren't even good at what they do. You know what I mean? So, you got to make your decision.
Diedrich starts changing his story. We becomes they. He's rewriting his version, but it's too late. The CCTV, the photos, the other statements, they're all matching perfectly, just not in his favor. He thinks he's buying time, but every word he speaks only pushes him closer to the truth he's trying to run from.
Remember everything they were saying. Well, hold on, let me finish. Because one thing we know, I hate being interrupted. Anyways, first off, let's go back to the guns and the hoodies, and forget about Chucky's mask, because you already told me why Chucky bought his mask. Why are these guys carrying around those guns when you all are just driving over to Riva Motors? I mean,
I'm not going to specifically say it was just for, it could have been for something else.
Okay, but what could it have been for? They're going to go to the gun range, they're looking for somebody to rob.
They ain't going to the gun range.
Don't tell me, come on, this is you can't, don't make me guess.
It was somebody else that they were going to rob.
Who was that? Just anybody?
I don't know.
What kind of guys are they? Just waiting, just carrying their guns with them in case they see somebody good?
I don't know.
Well, they're your friends, not mine.
I know that, but I don't really know. I don't know what kind of guys they're looking for.
Were they all wearing the hoodies?
No, they didn't have no hoodies.
Okay, but yeah, they were wearing hoodies when XXX got robbed.
I'm saying they didn't. You saying the mask?
No, but I'm talking about the hoodies.
Oh, no,
were they wearing the hoodies when they left your house?
No.
So the hoodies were where?
I guess at Chuck's house.
Okay, so again, when being a 60-year-old white guy, you're loading up with guns and you're loading up with hoodies.
They didn't load. They didn't load up with no guns. I didn't see them put in no guns.
Okay, but they're taking hoodies from Chucky's house.
Only gun I could see was Trayvon's gun.
Okay, but they're getting hoodies, right? It's how many degrees out? 90 degrees plus?
Well, I was supposed to question it. I don't know that.
Well, what do you think they were getting ready to do?
How am I supposed to know? I don't know.
I don't know. You've been living in the streets your whole life, and just like I have. If guys get in the car and got a bunch of hoodies,
it's like you trying to push me to say something that I don't.
I don't want you to push nothing. I want you to explain to the little old lady in the jury who's listening to you, who's going to say, "Hold on." They go over to Chucky's house, and all of a sudden now they're taking hoodies with them. Why are they taking hoodies with them? Were they going to rob somebody?
Okay. I mean, they could. I didn't pay attention to that. I know I ain't paying attention.
Are they robbing kind of guys?
I wouldn't say that.
Let me ask you this: when you left Chucky's house, were you specifically headed for Riva?
Yes.
You didn't do any surveillance of anybody, all that?
No.
Nothing at all?
No.
No discussion whatsoever of any other victims that they may have tried to rob between Chucky's house and Reba?
Or that they were planning on doing and got sidetracked because they saw XXX?
No, I was supposed to go to my girl's house, but I didn't make it to that.
Okay. When they see XXX and you get inside with Chucky and you get on the phone, are they already talking about robbing him then? What are they? What's the purpose
He just said, all right.
He just said what?
All right.
Okay, but why did they want you to confirm it was XXX?
Because they thought Chucky was lying.
Oh, okay. Who else did
Chucky
you call when you were in Reba? Did you call anybody else?
I think my girl, that's it.
Okay, and did Boatwright call you back as well as you called him?
I don't think he answered the first time.
Okay.
And then I think that's when he called back.
All right, is the first time when they start talking about robbing XXX when you get back to the car and sit, or is you and Chucky talking about it while you're inside Reba?
We're not talking about it when we're in Reba.
Okay, is
When we
anybody
get in the car.
Okay, is anybody talking about it on the phone with you like Boatwright?
No.
Okay. All right, so you get back into the car the first time while you're still in the parking lot.
Right.
Where are the hoodies at? Do you remember? Were they just...
Now, Robert starts explaining why he was there, but not what he did. He focuses on circumstances, distances, and coincidence, carefully avoiding responsibility. As he talks, he briefly references the victim as someone already known to him through media coverage. XXXTentacion had a complicated public relationship, shaped by controversy as much as fame. But to detectives, that reputation is irrelevant. What matters here is who was present, what happened, and what the evidence shows. He leaves out pieces that matter, and the detectives catch it instantly. Every missing detail matches what Diedrich refused to say. The detectives don't need confessions anymore. They're watching three stories locked together like puzzle pieces. And soon, the final corner will click.
You want me to tell your grandma where you're at? No? Damn, I gotta find out where he went. He was right behind me. All right, stand up so we can take the leg iron off you. All right, you gotta put your... Actually, do it. Sit back down because the hole's on the other side. Put your leg up, but don't get me all dirty with your feet. God damn, man. I gotta be able to see it. Okay, now stand up, put your hands behind your back for this young man here. Did you read all that? Good.
Want to put it in your pocket?
All right. Follow him.
Boatwright's room is quiet now. He stops explaining because he finally understands that the story is no longer his alone. The detectives already know what happened, and they are not asking whether he was there.
I'm going to have to bring somebody over, a forensic guy, who's going to photograph you. I see you got your wedding ring. They're going to have to put that. Would your wife come down here to get that? Yeah. Because I don't want to. Do you have any other property other than the wedding ring?
No, they took all my other rings off in my bracelet.
All right. I just don't want to see it. We can put it into your jail property, or I can see about getting it back.
Can she get it? Because I done had that happen before and it was gone when I got out.
All right, because what I'll do is when the guy comes over here, he's going to do your fingerprints and photographs. I'll have put everything in evidence and turn it over to me, and then I'll call her. Probably not tonight, but tomorrow.
She'll come now. You can call her.
Well, she got how many kids? Who's going to watch the kids?
Somebody got the kids already.
All right, well, we'll see what we do, because by the time they're done photographing you doing all that stuff, that may be a little longer. You know, again, I can get it to her tomorrow. I'm not going to take your crap. But I'm trying to think if there's anything else we need that where I can give her back. All right, the other thing is DNA. We don't want to talk about the case anymore, but I'm going to get a real quick DNA search warrant to get your DNA. unless you want to voluntarily give it to me, I'm gonna probably just go do a search warrant real quick to get you.
I'll give you my DNA.
Okay, well, that's up to you. I'm let me think about that because of the fact of what you said, I may want to do a quick search warrant to grab your DNA. I
know. I can give you my DNA. I know my DNA.
I know, but you know, like there's certain things that I just want to, you know, later on if I find something that's important, I want to also rule out your DNA is not on it. You know, like
but I know it's not.
Like that kind of stuff. Okay. Well, again, that's why I would do the testing anyway to prove your DNA is not on it. That's why I need your DNA and stuff.
Can you call her for me, please?
Who?
My wife.
What did you want me to say to her?
Can she come in and get my stuff?
Yeah, but let me get the guy to do all the photographing because it's going to be a while. If she comes down here now, she's going to have to sit maybe for hours because the guy who's going to do all your photographing stuff's not in this building. I got to get him to come on over.
Okay.
So, you know, your stuff is not that concerning to me. I'm going to have him put it in evidence. We're going to seal it up in your presence. He's going to hand it to me. And then tomorrow morning, there's no reason for me to lie. I'm going to give it to your wife, but I also need to make sure that it doesn't belong to her.
Hours later, Diedrich calls his family. He says he's fine, but his voice doesn't sound like someone who believes it. He knows what's coming, and so do the detectives. And the next knock on the door won't be for questions, it'll be for charges.
Parking lot when they're talking about it, and they haven't started gearing up yet. Are they talking about how they're going to do it? In other words, are they going to block the car in?
Yeah, like that.
Well, what are they saying?
Chucky said, I'm going to block the car for y'all, just get out. They was like, all right.
Okay. All right, so did Chucky ask you to do anything?
No.
Like, look out for us, man, see the police or anything like that? Okay, so the whole time that was going on, you were just sitting there? Yes? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Now, when they got into the car originally, going back to Chucky's house, and they got these guns, I mean, again, are they carrying any bags or anything? I mean, you had to see the rifle.
Like I said, I don't know when they could have put it in the car. I didn't see the rifle.
Okay, but you saw Trey's gun.
Yeah. In the house, I don't even know if he had, I didn't know for sure if he had it in
when
the
you
car.
saw it in the house, did he take it out of somewhere? Did he have it in his waistband, his pocket?
On his waist.
Okay, so he had it in his waistband?
Yeah.
What color was it?
I think it was black.
Okay, and you think it was a revolver?
Yeah.
It was a round thing?
Right.
All right, have you ever seen Chucky with any kind of guns?
Oh, before,
Okay, how old? How long ago?
A couple months, wait.
You ever see the one with the gold on it?
Yeah, I seen that before.
What's gold on it, so I know what you're talking about?
The trigger and the pin.
Okay, so the firing pin and the trigger's gold. What kind of gun is that, a revolver or?
All
right, do you think he had that with him that day, or you don't know?
I'm not sure.
Does he like to carry that gun with him?
Not really.
How long has he had that gun?
Quite a while. Not that long. Not that long, but.
Okay, but you've seen him with that gun before. All right. So when they get in, they don't have no bags. So how they brought the rifle in, you don't know.
I don't even know if they had a bag.
Okay, I'm just saying you didn't see no bags.
No, I didn't see it.
And you don't know how they brought the rifle in.
They could have bought it in while we was in the house or anything. I don't really know.
Okay. Well,
But I see the guns. I see them.
Okay. You're saying guns, so you saw them when you're at Riva.
Right.
You never saw how they got into the car.
Right.
Okay.
Well, let me ask you this: when they get back in the car with the Louis Vuitton bag, who's got the bag? Who's carrying it?
Trey.
So it's in the back seat between you and Trey?
Yeah.
Who opens the bag?
No one opened it at the time.
Okay.
He hands it to Boatwright.
Okay. Does Boatwright open it then?
No, because Trey tell him don't open it.
Why is that?
I don't know. He tell him don't open it.
And Trey, you didn't see Trey open it or anything?
Mm-hmm.
Why? I mean, I don't understand why Trey would say don't open it.
I don't know. I mean, I guess because it was just a shooting. I guess he was just worrying about getting away. But he's like, don't open it, bro. Don't open it. Don't open it. I don't know.
When was the first time it got opened? At your house?
I would say my house.
All right, who opened it at your house?
Boatwright.
And tell me what Boatwright said when he opens the bag. There's $50,000 in there. What's he say?
He's like, oh, oh. And then he started dispersing it. And then Chucky like, hold on, he ain't do nothing. And then he was like, man, that man was there.
What after you leave the motorcycle place, the Riva, Are you looking to see if there's any cops coming or any discussion about, you know, there's a cop car? Tell me to what?
It was like, y'all don't see the check. It was like, y'all see the police? And everybody was like, no, you're good.
All right, after you guys got in the hit and run in the journey and everybody took off running, did you guys ever meet up after that hit and run?
Yeah.
Where was that at?
I think in Dillon.
Okay.
In Dillon.
Do you remember somebody going back to the police, to the hit and run scene and say, okay, did you guys talk about doing that?
Finally, Robert starts talking about the plan. He says it like it was someone else's idea, but detectives have already heard the same line word for word in another room. He doesn't realize he's repeating the same lie that's already been proven false. What's coming next isn't denial, it's collapse.
And why did you decide to do that?
Because he had license. He also had license.
I know, but were you worried that the police knew the description of the car?
They wasn't worried about that.
They weren't worried about that?
Yeah, because Chuck said that the camera wouldn't see him in the cut.
Okay, so that's why you moved to the second spot. And before you moved to that second spot, and again, I'm just repeating this so I understand it, you're saying while you're in the parking lot doing that plan, and Chuck said he was going to cut off the car and those guys could get out with the guns.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Any help you can give on finding any of the credit cards, the bag? You didn't give the bag to no girl to get some moo-moo.
Nah. What's moo-moo?
Nookie. Loving. No?
Nah, he didn't do that.
We have no idea how to get any of this stuff back. And you don't know what they did with the guns. They didn't bring them up to Georgia, did they? So when Bo Wright went up to Georgia with y'all, he went up there with the money from the proceeds?
Yeah, a little bit of clothes, not much.
Okay. All right. I'm good. Let me, one last time.
That's the same question.
Because they want specific answers, okay? And they're just, they're testing you against what they know, against what you know, to see how truthful you're being. They just want to make sure you're 100% truthful. It's the way they do things. Don't take offense to it, okay? Also, if they ask you the same question 10 times, if you answer it differently, then that is an indication that you're not telling the truth. If you tell the same story every time, it's more likely that they believe that you are telling the truth. So they'll ask you the same question 10 different ways to see if you answer it differently, see if you're trying to make anything up. So it's just the way cops do it.
So this right here wouldn't get out until it's time to go to trial?
It's hard to say. Usually how it works is that if we enter into an agreement with them and then they end up listing you as a witness, then this would become what we call discovery, and it would be on the public. Not in the public, but the other defendants would know about it. Their lawyers would know about it.
All right. A couple more questions. When you guys decided, you and Boatwright and Trey, to go wherever you were going, what city did Trey get out in again?
Fort Pierce.
Fort Pierce? Trey, I'm talking about.
Right.
Okay, and you stayed at the La Quinta.
Right.
You and Boatwright.
Right.
Why were you guys leaving?
Why were we leaving from Fort Pierce?
Yeah. No, why were you leaving from Broward County? Why were you heading north?
Because I knew I was in trouble.
Okay.
He just tagged along.
Did they know they were in trouble?
No.
So you were leaving town because you knew you were in trouble?
Yeah.
Do you know if they had any of the guns with them? That was no.
No.
Okay. And you got up to Jasmine's house. How long do you think Boatwright stayed at Jasmine's house before you came back?
I want to say about 3 to 4 days, probably.
Okay, and where's the bus? You said you took a bus back?
Yeah.
Where's the bus station? Is that up in Eastman?
I don't know.
Who took him to the bus station?
My sister.
Okay, so Jasmine took him? So if I asked Jasmine's cooperative. So if I asked Jasmine, you don't know, does she have to take him a long ways, like to Savannah? Okay.
I knew that.
From this point on, Robert no longer speaks like someone explaining a plan. He speaks like someone who understands there is nowhere left to place the blame. His answers slow down and the confidence he showed earlier begins to disappear. Every version of events he offers has already been told in another room and tested against the evidence. Each time, it has fallen apart. The detectives no longer need to challenge his story or push for answers, because the facts have already done that for them. This is where the interrogation truly comes to an end. Not confession or confrontation, but with the quiet realization that the truth is already complete. At this point, nothing Robert says can undo what the cameras captured or change what the investigation has already proven.
As soon as we're done, we go straight back. I go straight back.
You get in the jail, you don't be telling anybody what you're doing, who you're talking to, none of that. All right, there's no reason for anybody to know any of that.
Now, finally, the truth has silenced all three of them. Their stories have fallen apart, and their lies can no longer hide what really happened. The truth stands quietly, stronger than any excuse they could offer. Moreover, from the reels that they had uploaded, it became quite clear that the motive behind this horrific crime was nothing but money. And as the silence fills the room, one question remains: how far does greed go when life is the price? Finally, on March 20th, 2023, the jury found 3 men guilty of first-degree murder and armed robbery. 2 weeks later, on April 6th, 2023, the judge announced their fate. Dedrick Williams, the getaway driver, is sentenced to life in prison without parole. Michael Boatwright, the shooter, receives 2 life sentences plus 30 extra years. Trayvon Newsom, the second gunman, also gets life without parole. Robert Allen takes a different route. He cooperates, confesses, and testifies against the others. In May 2023, he's sentenced to 7 years in prison and 20 years of probation, his honesty helping seal the final convictions.